No. A plant-based diet is the only diet that was ever proven to reverse heart disease. This is a claim that has been shared for many years across many multiple vegan communities. But is it true? The term plant-based diet can also be used when you are actually talking about the Mediterranean diet, for example. That is very rich in plant-based foods, but it also incorporates some animal-based products. But in this case, Scott is talking about a strict plant-based diet, because in his post, he's referring to the work of Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn. I guess you already know who we are talking about here. We need to make the distinctions between the claims and the work of Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn. I'm not doubting the results. The results are amazing that are coming out of these trials. However, where I do find some issues is the claim that a plant-based diet, a strict plant-based diet, is the only diet proven to reverse heart disease. In order to disprove this claim, all you need to do is show one study that didn't use a strict plant-based diet to quote-unquote reverse heart disease. Let's turn back the clock to the 90s because Dr. Dean Ornish published a study called the Lifestyle Heart Trial that was shared even amongst vegans as one of the ultimate proof that a plant-based diet, a strict plant-based diet, can reverse heart disease. If we take a closer look at the diet, it wasn't a strictly plant-based diet. It was a vegetarian diet. The participants had to eat a vegetarian diet for at least a year. The diet included many whole plant-based foods, such as vegetables, grains, legumes, soybean products, and the participants could eat those products without caloric restrictions. And the next sentence is where probably the confusion comes from. No animal products were allowed except egg whites and 1 cup of non-fat milk or yogurt. The cholesterol intake was limited to 5 milligrams per day or less, and of course salt was restricted as well for people with hypertension, and even caffeine was eliminated, so no coffee, tea, etc. Alcohol was prohibited as well. The participants were also told to supplement with B12. And you can see the results in this graph. A stenosis, it's the narrowing of the arteries. So in other words, the artery actually dilated at the end of this trial. However, just because the artery dilated doesn't necessarily mean that the plaque went away. On top of all the things we just mentioned, the participants were also asked to do stress management and do some physical activities. So we cannot truly say that it was just the diet alone that caused these results, if the results are legit. That's besides the cause here, because you can see that a vegetarian diet was used in this trial. And this is not the only trial that wanted to reverse heart disease with quote-unquote diet alone. The Mount Abu Open Heart Trial used a low-fat, high-fiber vegetarian diet, and the cholesterol intake was restricted to less than 50 milligrams per day. Dietary cholesterol can only be found in animal-based products. Just like the Lifestyle Heart Trial, it was very heavy on whole plant-based foods and low in fats and dietary cholesterol. What I also loved about this trial is that the spouses were given recipes and taught how to cook. That is especially important for adherence, because if you have 2 people living in one household and one is doing a diet and the other one is just following, their habitual dietary patterns, the success rate is lower actually. So I love that actually both the participants and their partners were involved. And with this trial, they saw similar results. The stenosis of the arteries regressed. The Mount Abu Open Heart Trial also used stress management and exercise. This was also not a strictly plant-based diet that caused these results to happen. There's actually more research. The Stanford Coronary Risk Intervention Project used similar dietary approaches rich in whole plant-based foods, but you can see even here that the cholesterol intake was around 140 milligrams of dietary cholesterol per day. This trial, again, wasn't 100% plant-based. Both groups, so the control and the intervention group, using this dietary approach and also lifestyle change, improved. The stenosis seemed to be improved in both groups as well. The next trial that we are going to be highlighting is probably one of the most famous trials when we are talking about heart disease regression. The Cardiovascular trial is one of the largest randomized control trials conducted on this topic. More than 1,000 participants were involved in this huge randomized control trial. One group used more than 4 tablespoons of virgin olive oil, alongside 3 or more servings of fish or seafoods, especially fatty fish. The participants were told to replace red meat with skinless white meat and to eat less than 1 serving per day on average. The participants were also told to avoid all additional fats such as butter, margarine, seed oils, creams, and so on and so forth. Foods rich in sugar and unhealthy fats, such as junk foods, for example. The other group was asked to follow a similar dietary pattern but to reduce their fat intake. They were told to increase their intake of complex carbohydrates, for example, such as whole grain, legumes, etc., and to use less than 2 tablespoons of cooking oils per day. They were also told to limit their fish, seafood, nuts, and seed intake to less than 1 serving per week. By the end of the 7 years, the Mediterranean diet group saw a greater regression in the plaque buildup of the carotid arteries. We have a couple of more trials apart from all the ones I showed you. For example, such as this randomized study that saw actually a regression in non-calcified plaque. Both groups actually had some slight improvements. And this trial used a DASH diet. The DASH diet is a diet rich in whole plant-based foods, but it does contain some small amount of animal-based products and has tremendous success in lowering people's blood pressure and LDL. Having looked at all this evidence, I would like to finish this video with the following. I don't care whether a diet can cause plaque regression. What I truly care about is the reduction in cardiovascular events occurring within the participants of all these trials. And for that, a diet rich in whole plant-based foods has had some tremendous positive effects. But a diet rich in whole plant-based foods doesn't necessarily mean that it was a diet strict in whole plant-based foods. That is a very important distinction, because this exact phrase, in my opinion, is causing more harm than good to veganism. What are your thoughts about this topic? Feel free to let me know in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you during my next video.